As you know, my research shows how habits form and the time it takes, and it's at least 63 days, not 21 days. And
why 63 days?
basically, the research shows that somewhere between 59 and 63 days, there's a major pivotal point where people actually manifest the change.
These different layers of mind, I'd love to talk about that.
So your non-conscious part of you is the biggest part of you. It's infinite, it operates 24/7, it operates beyond space and time, it stores every single memory that you've ever had. Every answer we ever need is there. You just have to know how to tune in and tap in.
And something you talk about in the book is it's okay to not be okay. So why is that so important?
It's so important because our...
Carolyn, welcome. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Will. And so nice to be in person. We've done this for years online.
It's been like a long time.
A long time. And we've done so much together. 7 years?
Yeah, something like that.
And talked non-stop and done so much together. And this is the first time we're actually connecting in person.
I know. Hey, better late than never. I'm glad. It was like, yeah, I'm so happy to be in person. And welcome to the telehealth clinic.
Thank you so much. It's beautiful. You have a beautiful clinic here. And
thank you so much.
It's just so nice. I love it. The whole setup and the whole vibe is so lovely.
Thank you
so much.
Smells
so good.
We got some Palo Santo, got some essential oils, patchouli probably, and diffusing today.
It's gorgeous.
So this is we're kind of celebrating something today. This is your 19th book.
It's the 19th book. Yeah, help in a hurry. I need some help in a hurry.
This is it. For people that are watching this on social or YouTube, help in a hurry. We're going to dig into finding peace and like the neuroscience of peace and how we can tap into that.
Yeah.
So what was the process like? I mean, 19 books in. I mean, this is major.
It is major. Thank you, Will. I think the reason I wrote this book is that for years I've written on how to manage your mind, which is what I do. I mean, mental health and the neuroscience of the mind, brain, body connection, and how to manage anxiety and depression. And one of the things that I found myself helping my patients so much with, plus myself, plus millions of people keep asking me and literally saying, that's great. I've got a plan for dealing with the depression. I've got a plan for dealing with the trauma. I've got a plan for dealing, and we can talk more about that too. But what do I do in the moment? You know, so a lot of my research has shown that, as you know, my research shows how habits form and the time it takes, and it's at least 63 days, not 21 days. And, you know, people get into, we need that. We need to create lifestyles. But what do I do in the moment, in the next 63 seconds, when someone's just yelled at me, or I've just got that text from my child and, you know, your stomach just sinks, or your wife texts you and you forgot something that was really important, or you're in a business meeting and someone just, you know, is so rude, or just life happens.
Life happens.
Or someone makes you angry, or you find yourself people pleasing, or you find yourself going through a cycle of, you know, imposter syndrome and self-doubt, and you've got to stand in front of a whole lot of people. And what do you do in that moment before you can go and then take the time to work through the obvious pattern that this is emerging from? And that's where this book came out of, Help in a Hurry. Because you can actually direct the next 63 seconds. You can direct the way that the mind-brain-body connection wires in the next 63 seconds and self-regulate the next 63 seconds. And if you can self-regulate the next 63 seconds, it means you can direct the next hour and the next day. And you can train yourself to self-regulate. So when it comes to dealing with the big stuff that take the 63 days, you've already given yourself a point of training. Yeah. So that's where this book has come out. It's come out of that need.
Yes, this is fascinating. So I know a lot about your research, knowing you for all these years, that it's 63 days is what the research shows for us to build habits, which we'll get into. Well, I guess that's a good question. Like, why 63 days? And then we'll get into the 63 seconds, like here and now, how do we shift our state? But let's start with the bigger picture of habit building in your work. Why 63 days?
A great place to start. So I know it's such a random number, 63. Basically, the research shows that somewhere between 59 and 63 days, there's a major pivotal point where people actually manifest the change. So up until that point, people know they want to change. They erratically demonstrate a change. Whether it is something that they're trying to, like it's a bad habit that they're trying to break, or it's a new habit that they're trying to build. It's very erratic up to a certain point. Then we see stabilization happening, and there's this amazing thing that happens around 55 to 63 days, where suddenly it's, I'm doing this, and I'm not even triggered anymore, or if I am triggered, I catch it quickly, or I'm suddenly, I'm doing these things that I've been trying to do and I just couldn't now. So that shift happens, we see from intense research, happens around 59 to 63 days. Having said that, I just want to caution, if one is dealing with a trauma from the past, for example, that has trauma being defined as the real trauma, not the concept creep where everyone just says, oh, I didn't get that parking and now I'm traumatized. Not that kind of sort of using trauma incorrectly, but trauma is something that's happened to you. It's dramatic, it's grief, it's loss, it's an invasion of who you are, it's war trauma, all those abuse, that kind of thing. That kind of trauma you're not going to fix in 63 days. So I just wanted to say that as a word of caution. You're going to work in multiple cycles of 63 days.
Got it.
So for example, when I've worked with patients who've had trauma, it's taken sometimes up to 2 years, which would be, if you do the math, it's actually 6 cycles, 6 to 10 cycles of 63 days where you get these big changes every kind of 9 weeks.
Got it.
And it's that time frame of the healing journey that we need to bring to mind. So 63 days is what we found from our research and clinical trials, plus it confirms the research in the literature, that if we want to rewire the mind-brain-body network that you speak so much about, the patterns that we have, rewire those ways of eating or thinking, you just can't do it in 21 days. 21 days is the myth that started around the 60s with a plastic surgeon who then got into self-help. So he actually found that his patients were healing from plastic surgery in cycles of 21 days. And it's totally correct. You know yourself, stem cells form, and we see in the body these cycles of more or less 3 weeks, and depending on what's healing and how many cycles. So he adapted that, and it became one of those things that hit the zeitgeist and became a myth that just became a truth. But it's
for everybody,
yeah. So we started testing it. A lot of us started testing it, different scientists over time, and we found that in 21 days, you definitely do have change. You identify the big thing you want to change or the new big thing you want to build, and you move in that direction, and you do quite a lot of deconstruction and reconstruction. The problem is it's not stabilized, and so therefore the application isn't there and the change doesn't happen. And so many people stop at 21 and then they get totally frustrated. Well, because you've probably seen this in your practice. They go, all motivated. They're getting somewhere, but then they just don't do that other 42 days. So if you don't do the second 42 days, you don't strengthen that network. It's got to be strengthened and automatized. Automatized means it moves into the non-conscious part of your mind, which is the biggest part of your mind, which I know we can get to the different levels of mind. It's only when something's in that part of your mind that it actually will manifest as a change in your life. And it takes another at least 42 days to get it into that level of energy and that part of who you are in order for it to show up.
Wow. So it's really these 3 cycles of 21 days.
Yes.
It's these, and you mentioned like with more complex trauma, big T trauma, it is each cycle of the 63 is like unpacking different layers and aspects to it.
Exactly. Because there's different connections. If you think, you'll start with the most obvious, which is what your non-conscious mind will help you find, unconscious part of your mind. And that will be the most obvious thing that is the most disruptive in the moment. But that's always got like a root in a tree connect to other trees. It's connected to other areas of your life. So basically trauma, because of it's because of the salience of trauma and the hugeness of trauma, it impacts so many areas. So as you unpack one layer, another one comes up. But you can't fix that one until you've got this one sorted. And so it's unpacking. It's almost like those boxes that you unpack and
deeper and deeper.
Deeper and deeper.
Yeah, that's wild. Okay, so since you brought it up, can you maybe have some definition of terms for us? So we hear mind, we hear brain, and you talk about mind as sort of this energy source. Can you distinguish for us the difference between mind and brain?
Absolutely. And that's really a good place to start. And it's probably the most challenging part of what I'm about to say in this whole interview, because people hear it and people are so used to, for the last 50 years, having the message that the mind is the brain. Or things like in medical school, you probably would have been exposed to this when you were doing your chiropractics. I know I was exposed to this in the 80s when I was first training, but we told that the mind is what the brain does. And I just listened to that statement. The mind is what the brain does. It's an incorrect statement. It's an unscientific statement. It's been disproved over and over and over again, and it's also impossible. The brain doesn't do anything. And that sounds so crazy too. The brain doesn't do anything. Think of it like this. The brain doesn't do anything if you're dead. When the minute you die, the heart stops within 10 seconds to 20 seconds. Your brain's flatlined, and your body's every organ of your body is already basically dying. And so what is the thing that makes the brain work? There's something. So when someone dies, something changes. And what is that change? And what we see from quantum physics, from science, this is neuroscience, hardcore research that has been confirmed over and over and over again, is that there's an energy force that flows through the brain and the body. And the brain and the body kind of host this energy force.
Yeah.
And it's that energy force that makes the brain do what it does, and makes the heart do what it does, and makes all the systems of the body do what they do. And that is mind.
Yeah.
So mind is this big word that has lots of different kind of connotations, but mind is this big word that, number one, drives your physiology. So it's an energy force that makes your brain work and so on. And number two, it is also driving your psychology. It's you. It's your psychology. It's Will. It's Caroline. It's our ability to have this discussion, to respond, to love. You have 2 kids and a wife, and you're going on holiday tomorrow. Your mind. It's your mind that planned that. It's your mind that helps you enjoy life. It's your mind that helps you. It's your intelligence. It's your perceptions. It's your appreciation of a sunset. It's creating joyful relationships. It's being frustrated by politics. It's getting irritated. It's getting happy. It's people pleasing. All of that stuff. It's making a decision to follow the phenomenal advice that you give us in terms of how to look after your gut and how to eat properly to maintain a healthy. That's mind. I have to use my mind to listen to you. I have to use my mind to hear what you're telling me. I have to use my mind to process what you're telling me. I have to use my mind to make the decision to learn that, apply that, and make those choices.
Yeah.
So mind is thinking, feeling, choosing in response to life. So your brain is just your host. I mean, I got my little skull here with my brain in.
I love it.
And
For people that are watching this on video, I love this brain. So tell us about it.
So I've got a little brain and a skull here for those of you that are listening. And basically I bring this along, and your brain's actually about the size, as you know, of your 2 fists. But your brain doesn't produce any mind. Your brain can't do anything without the mind. The mind makes the brain work. So it's the mind that does the generating, the producing, the directing, the managing, the driving. Your brain is a host. It's a responder.
So the energy force is operating
the brain.
That's
the thing that operates the brain. Kind of like when you plug your computer in and charge it, and your computer can actually do something.
Yeah.
An uncharged computer is dead. When you plug it in, you put energy into the computer, and then you come with your energy, and you actually then manage that. So it's 2 levels of energy, where you put energy in to make it work, which is the physiology of the computer. That's what that's the one part of mind. The mind is switching the brain on and making it fire up, and all the programs start running. And then the other part is you then decide what you're going to do with your computer. Are you writing a book? Are you writing an email? Are you sending a text? Are you reading some research? That's the mind component. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So the brain is the host. And the brain and the body collectively are about 1% of who we are, whereas the mind is 99%.
Wild.
And there we can dive deeper.
Yes.
Because the mind is a word that has been used for thousands of years by the ancients. That's why I selected the word mind as opposed to spirit and soul, because those have got so many different definitions. But the mind incorporates spirit, soul, consciousness, all those big words that we love to throw around and not really understand what we're saying. The mind incorporates all of those.
Yes. That's what I was thinking as you were talking about, like how science is catching up with antiquity. Like we had different words around different cultures and time to explain this force that is mind.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It is. It's so beautiful, and it's so exciting, because what I know you've been exposed to in your scientific studies and research and work and so on, is that we often hear the concept, consciousness is the hard question of science. And I've heard that for 40 years. I mean, I was studying in the 80s. I've been in this game 40 years. I'm 61, and I've heard it for so many years, and I still hear scientists saying it. And I always answer, every time I have this discussion, is it's not the hard question of science. It is the easiest question of science. The reason we see it as the hard question of science is because science has become so materialistic, and it's great. I'm not saying I'm a scientist. I'm obsessed with science, as you are. But we've become so physicalist as scientists. And I shouldn't say we, because I know you and I don't function totally physically, but science has become the field. Thank you. The field's become very physical. So if you can't see it, touch it, feel it, or measure it in some way, then it doesn't exist. And that's been the argument of scientists for a dominant part of scientists, languaging and discussions and so on over the last 40, 50 years is, well, I can't touch it, see it, feel it, or measure it. So therefore, it's something, but it's a hard question. When we've worked out a way to physically measure it, then we'll deal with it. Now, we have worked out ways of physically measuring mind. I can do a QEEG on you, which is I can look at the brain waves in your brain. I can attach you to, put electrodes, and I can see a response. I can't read your thoughts. No one can read your thoughts. They're too complex. But we can see if you're excited or happy or sad, or if you've got something going on in your life. And even if we see an imbalance of high excitement, we can see that same pattern with someone who's having a psychotic breakdown as well as someone who's having a creative moment. So we also can't say that pattern that we see from a QEG means you're having a psychotic break, because we see the same kind of pattern with someone who's in a creative moment, as I said. So any kind of technology that looks inside brains or bodies is reading a person's mind at that moment. And it varies for different people. And what we always look for in terms of using technology like QEG, or if you put if you do an EKG on your heart, or if you're having a sonogram if someone's pregnant, or if you have an MRI done, whether it's for your brain or full body, or any kind of technology, if you put that technology on a dead person, you see nothing. So why do we see something when someone's alive? Because we're seeing the mind at work.
The mind operating
at work.
it.
The mind is operating. And that's why when you do blood tests, when you do all the tests and things that you're doing, you are looking at the impact of
the
mind
on a biochemistry.
On the body.
Yeah.
Exactly, on
you
the
have a
biochemistry.
beautiful way of saying it. So you mentioned like science over the last 40, 50 years. And then you think of these scientists little prior to that, like Einstein and Carl Jung, and they talked about this ineffable.
All the time.
Right.
Carl Jung's one of my heroes.
Me
as
too.
Einstein, I love Carl Jung. Hit it the nail on the head. I mean,
he saw all this stuff without randomized controlled trials. I mean, he did research, but he knew.
Yeah.
He knew what we were talking about right now.
He would be joining this conversation and saying, and Einstein too would be joining this conversation and saying, yes, this is it. And we moved away from Jung. We moved away from those foundational principles. And Freud was very much influenced by Jung as well. But then Freud became quite physicalist at one stage, and but still, and then kind of he had his theories that we
dabbled into.
But Jung, spot on. He's talking about the power of the non-conscious mind. So what I did was very influenced by Jung in my studies. Was I 40 years ago decided I have to try and understand what that part of us means. This thing that's called the hard question of science, which is actually the easiest question because we can see it from technology, as I've mentioned, and I can see it right now. I can see consciousness right now because I'm talking to you. And you are you. There's no other will call. There's something you can do that no one else can do. You have a unique perception of life. So therefore, just by knowing you and having a conversation with you, I'm already seeing consciousness at work. I've got evidence.
Yeah.
Scientists want evidence. The evidence is that you aren't me. We're not avatars. We are totally different. And that's what is the easy question. The easy question is, let's study how we're different. Let's look at how we respond. Let's look at how environment and socioeconomic and politics and sociopolitics and all these things, choices of lifestyle choices that we make, how those impact each of us. That's the study of consciousness.
Yeah.
The choices we make.
Yeah, the differentiation of consciousness. So that this, I love it when we're talking about these spaces. I feel like the resurgence or the renaissance of what we're talking about here is your work, and it's so beautifully interwoven. You mentioned quantum physics, which is also exploring these big questions.
Exactly.
Right, and explaining it in ways that people can understand. So, I mean, what's your thought of? That cliched question that people say, like, okay, if a tree falls down and nobody's there to witness it, does it make noise? I mean, those are big questions. I'm sure you've thought of it.
Yeah.
What does the science show of the experience of consciousness and reality itself?
Well, I love these discussions. And this is essentially the way I understand it, is that reality exists because of how we actually collapse the reality into. So there's all these probabilities, all these things that can happen.
Yeah.
But it's us seeing it that makes it happen. So the tree fell, it made a noise, but our perception of the tree falling and what the perception of the tree falling and the noise being is going to be perceived as we see it. If we're not seeing it, we're pretty much trusting that it actually happened, if it did happen at all.
Yeah.
So it's this physical zeitgeist of I have to see it to make it real. is on one hand almost true, because as we look at it, we basically collapse something that's a probability into an actuality. So, but at the same time, we've got the fact that trees do fall, because there are cycles and trees get old, and there's maybe been disruption in the earth from something or another, and they fall down. So things happen. So I don't know if that kind of answers your question.
it does.
So it's on two sides of the way of seeing this. Is that the one thing is that we have a creative power in us, and I think what confuses a lot of people is the kind of philosophy that, well, nothing exists except what you see. And that is maybe a statement that's very hard to process, because there are physical things that exist whether we like it or not. There's an office next door where my husband happens to be sitting. We know there's tables and chairs, and we know your staff is out.
Mac is using my office right now.
My husband Mac's using his office right now. We know that exists, but because I can't see it, does it mean it doesn't exist? Does it mean Mac is not there? Does it mean that the cat's alive or dead, shooting his experiment? So I think it's more our perception, what we create of that. So we have, as humans, from the beginning of time, we have used our mind to take the elements and energy, which are basically at their core particles and then energy, and we've shaped the energy into things and into theories and into ideas that have made airplanes and lights and computers, and we've taken electromagnetic energy and we've made cell phones and we've made computers, and those things exist, they're realities, but it's our mind that did the creating. And I think that's what they're really trying to say, is the book you write's not going to be the same book that I write. You're creating your reality in that book. It's your perception. And I think that's easier for people to grapple with. It's not that the tree didn't fall down or didn't exist. It most likely did fall down, and most likely did make a noise, because trees get old and fall down, as I said. The roots lift and whatever.
Yeah.
But it's how you perceived it and saw it.
Yeah. It's wild to think about these existential things, right?
It is.
It's like, I mean, and like the idea of consciousness being this one thing, right, that then shows up in different forms in this world is just profound, that science is really exploring these topics.
It is, and it's really, really, really popular now. And there's a few theories that have been around of scientists that I've followed for years, like Sir Roger Penrose and Stuart Hamerhoff, who've created what they call the Orch-R theory. And without trying to get into too much science, in a nutshell, the research and science of the things that we don't see is stronger than the science of the things that we do see. And that goes to the question of the tree. So we know that there is energy, and energy is real, and energy is created into forms by humans, because we have minds that create them. And there's more science backing that up than there is saying that the consciousness is this hard question that we can't explore. And that brings me back full circle to what I was trying to do from 40 years ago, which was to say, okay, well, we talk about consciousness all the time. We talk about the soul. We talk about the spirit. And I know we'll get to practical steps in a moment, but what is consciousness really? And what is spirit and soul? These words that we throw around. So I don't know if you want me to dive in and give a simple definition.
These different layers of mind. I'd love to talk about that.
And then, okay, I'd love to do that, and then I can kind of link it back to the work you do as well, to make it practical and all these. So basically, our conscious mind, which is the consciousness that people talk about, is obviously what you and I are operating in now. Basically, consciousness is when you're awake, and not when you're asleep. So when you fall asleep, you go into an unconscious state, but that's not a level of mind; it's a state. So we in a conscious level at the moment, but your conscious level has an undergirding part to it, and that is your non-conscious, N-O-N. So your non-conscious part of you is the biggest part of you. It's infinite. It operates 24/7. It operates beyond space and time. It stores every single memory that you've ever had, ever will have, because it's beyond space and time. It's the swirling mass of driving force and energy that is full of wisdom. Every answer we ever need is there. You just have to know how to tune in and tap in. It's insight, in wisdom. It's all those big things. And that exists, and that we know from science. This force that drives our physiology, this force that enables you to give your child advice, to write a book, to do the work that you do, to draw on and find your unique contribution that you make to life, it's coming from the non-conscious. So the non-conscious is this deepest part of us, this wise part of us that never switches off. It operates 24/7, infinite in its capacity. The conscious mind is limited. It's brilliant, but it's limited because it has a different function. The non-conscious stores everything and it absorbs everything and it neutralizes things that are bad for us and finds stuff that we need to work on, and it's our best friend and it never stops and it helps us, and that's where all the habits go that are automatized that I spoke about, that go there, that drive our functioning. The conscious mind is a workhorse. It is a workhorse that is very limited to how fast and how much it can hold in any one moment. And I'm going to give you exact numbers in a minute. But it's powerful in that it does two things. It helps us to think, feel, and choose. That's the one thing. So it's helping us to think in terms of capturing data, think it through, and then tune into additional data from the non-conscious. So it grabs data. So it's a data capturing mechanism. And it helps us to experience feelings we can feel in response to this data capturing that it does, and then it chooses. Now, those three things are required in order for us to create. So we create the books, we create the work that you do, you create the love you have for your wife. That's all coming from you, if that makes sense. So we create our perceptions in life. We get grumpy, happy, sad, irritable. All that's coming from data that we capture, of feeling in response, and the choice we make in the moment. The conscious mind's doing that. So it's doing the work. It's a workhorse. It's kind of chaotic because there's so much unexpected data that hits us at any one moment. There's certain predictability, like we know certain things for sure, but there's also so much unpredictability. So it's very, very powerful in that it can take data that is unpredictable and predictable and then feel, choose. And it's doing this all the time. Now, to give you a feel for the sizes between the two, because there's a third level we're going to talk about in a moment. If you think of it, you and I are having a conversation. The conscious mind can process somewhere between 2 to 3 words every second. If you and I are having this conversation, and if someone was sitting in your green room over there and having another conversation quite loud, or as loud as us, and we're trying to get us involved in the conversation, we would really battle. We would battle to focus on each other. We would battle to focus on them. They would battle. Why? Because the conscious mind, to catch that data, to feel that data, and to make choices about that data every 10 seconds or so, needs to focus on 2 to 3 things every second. So the conscious mind is structured to handle one conversation at a time, which is about 2 to 3 words every second, which is quite fascinating.
Yeah.
The non-conscious there's no limit. It can handle trillions of bits of information in a second. That's why it's your non-conscious mind that's scanning the environment, scanning everything that you're not saying, that you are saying, that I'm not saying, that I am saying. It's all going in. Everything's going in. It's your non-conscious mind that perceives when you walk in a room and you know someone doesn't like you, or they do like you, or you know something's off or something's not off, or you sense. That's your non-conscious mind.
Yeah,
it's
so that's the unconscious mind that's
non-conscious.
Catching the resonance of
N-O-N, non-conscious.
Non-conscious mind.
Non-conscious,
Okay,
yes.
got it.
People always get muddled between the non-conscious.
Yeah, so what's the difference between the two?
Okay, so non-conscious is this powerhouse of life, of wisdom. Unconscious is a brain state.
Got
Sleep.
it.
You're either asleep or knocked out or under anesthesia.
Right, so this is,
or
you're not
doped
that.
or drugged or
Let's hope not.
Yeah.
Let's hope not.
So unconscious is a brain. It's a state that the physical brain goes into.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop the non-conscious working. Your brain you can be asleep. Your non-conscious is still working.
Yeah, so I always conflated the two. So that's completely different. So unconscious and non-conscious mind are completely different.
Exactly. So if you're under anesthesia, or you take a psychoactive drug, or you take psychedelics, you're affecting the unconscious mind, because you're affecting the brain state.
Got it.
The actual state of how the brain's, and you switch off that consciousness level, and you go into, but you never switch off the non-conscious. The non-conscious operates 24/7.
Got it.
It's your life force, basically.
So the non-conscious mind is the life force.
It's the life force. It's the life force.
So is it like, I think of like the ocean and the massive depth of the ocean, and then you have the ripple of the waves. Is there some sort of parallel with that?
Yeah, that's a great way of seeing it. You could see the beautiful way.
So the non-conscious would be the vast sea.
And the wave forming, the ripple going into the wave, and the crest and the crashing on the beach. That would be your conscious mind, which is doing that work. It's rippling and moving and crashing on the beach. And that's what when we do QEEGs, we pick up the depth, but we also pick up mainly the waves moving. And we'll get hints of the non-conscious through the slower the wave form and that kind of thing. So unconscious is brain state. Non-conscious is this massive powerhouse.
Yeah.
Now, interesting, the non-conscious is connected to Now, this we can call God, Godness, the source, the universe, whatever people's belief system is. There's something more than just you and me. We all know. Everyone, even if you're an atheist, you have to believe something to be an atheist. You know what I'm saying? You have to believe that there's nothingness, even if it's nothingness. There's just something that's beyond.
Yeah.
And that's what this our unconscious is connected to, which is so cool. It's connected to this massive.
Interesting. So so science is pointing to this larger source beyond us, beyond the non-conscious mind.
Yes, definitely.
And that could be God or source or spirit or
exactly
nothingness, Ein Sof, all these words.
Exactly.
For it,
whatever you want to call it, whatever culture, belief system you come from. But generally, there's very, very few people in the world have ever believed there's nothing beyond just now. There are people, but they're a very small percentage.
Yeah.
Actually, if you look at philosophy, religion, culture, etc., which is really interesting. So there's this big source, and we can tap into that, and that's the connectedness. So an example for people to think, oh, what is that? Just the fact that you and I built a relationship over 7 years. We've never physically met each other. We've done many interviews. We just clicked. There's a connection. That's coming from my unconscious, your unconscious connecting in another level.
Yeah.
Because we've never physically met. So our unconscious is connected, and and that connection is happening. It's coming from somewhere outside that kind of brought our lives together. And you love your wife. You fell in love with your wife. You have a relationship with your wife. There was a connectedness that happened beyond.
Yeah.
You
So that's what
saying?
when people talk about synchronicity, right?
Yes,
Is there something, people use those words flippantly, but it's really connected to what we're talking about here, right?
Totally. Synchronicity, like I don't believe in accidents. I believe in synchronicity. I believe in meaning and purpose, even when
Because it's consciousness shuffling,
exactly. And it's not determinism either. Determinism, for those that don't know what that means, it means you don't have free will. I don't believe in determinism. One of the biggest key things about the conscious mind and the unconscious, us as humans, is our ability to choose. We can choose to not tune into the unconscious. We can choose to miss that mark, and that's when we get stuck in patterns of mental health challenges and addictions and so on. And we can choose to not recognize the synchronicities, because what will happen is the universe, God, source, whatever, will place people, events, situations in our lives to grow us and enhance us, which is then going to make us better people, and then we feed back into the universe, because at the end of the day it's all helping each other. It's all about learning, love, growth, enhancement, not competition. It's enhancement. So I believe in that.
Yeah, I heard.
And that's what science shows.
It's fascinating. I heard someone say that, and this is no slight against like someone that's truly an atheist, not agnostic, but that it takes more faith to be an atheist and believe in nothing than not, right? It's like the highest faith is to kind of, I'm not going to look at quantum physics. I'm not going to look at the science that we're talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't even, I've heard that statement too, and I totally agree. It's really difficult, because if you look at the fact that, take the word quantum out, because people often get scared of that word. Quantum just means energy. Now, if you think of how we are able to have this is being filmed, that's electromagnetic energy that's actually capturing us speaking and converting our words and sounds. It's electromagnetic energy. It's gravitational field, electromagnetic energy, auditory sound waves. It's all being captured and captured into a version that can then evergreen go out to people all the time. And that thing that's capturing, that's what quantum physics basically is. It's this electromagnetic energy. So when people think, oh, that's something weird, no, it's not. It's the foundation of everything how we function as humans. Then the next level up is hardcore physics, Newton's physics. That translates this into something physical.
So this third level is the source level that you're talking about, whereas it's conscious, non-conscious.
No, that's actually outside of that.
Outside of it.
You and I as humans, we have our conscious mind, which is just operating when we're awake, think, feel, choose, and 2 to 3 words per second. Then our non-conscious, which is this massive part of us, that is, how big we don't know, but it operates at millions of words per second. There's no limit. We don't even know the limit. Creating patterns at 400 billion actions per second. I mean, it's just phenomenal. Then in between that, we have the subconscious.
Okay.
So conscious, subconscious, non-conscious, and then unconscious is when we're asleep or knocked out, okay? So the subconscious is like a waiting room. So because of the speed of the non-conscious and because of the slowness of the conscious mind, think the conscious mind can handle 2 to 3 words per second, the non-conscious 1 million. I have to have some kind of interim level that I can translate the one to the other. So that's what the subconscious does. So it goes through various different iterations without trying to get too complicated. Think of the subconscious like a waiting room in a doctor's office, or a waiting room at your waiting room when patients are waiting for you. And the person who booked the first appointment, if you've got 10 people outside, whoever's had the first appointment, whatever, that's the first person who will go into the office. So, or if it's a doctor's emergency room, it's triage. The person with the worst situation will go through first, otherwise you'll wait for your appointment in order of booking it. So the point I'm making is that is how the subconscious works. The non-conscious scans, it's your best friend, it's on your side. It scans everything that you're taking in all day long, neutralizes most of it, or we would not function, because our non-conscious is too big for our brain and body. Our brain and body can't handle as much. It has to be filtered into it has to be filtered through and reduced, because we too big. Okay, so it has to be filtered through. The non-conscious sorts and finds, okay, this particular behavior pattern in Will's life or Caroline's life is very disruptive at this moment to Will's creativity, to write a new book, or to Will's relationship with his wife, or to Caroline's relationship, whatever it is. Your non-conscious identifies the thing that is the most disruptive and the thing that is the most creative, the most uplifting. Puts those into the waiting room. And the subconscious can hold around about 20 words per second, somewhere between 14 and 20 words per second.
The subconscious.
Yes, the subconscious. Okay, sorry, did I say?
No, yes, you said it. I just was making sure I understood it.
No, that's good. So conscious, 2 to 3 words per second. Subconscious, 20 words, more or less. Let's say 18 to 26 words per second. Non-conscious, infinite. So I just give those words per second to give people a feel for the speed and the amount of data.
Yeah.
So the non-conscious finds whatever's disruptive, takes, and what does it find? It finds a thought. What does a thought contain? Memories. What is a thought with memories? An experience. So every experience we've ever had is in this format of memories encapsulated into thoughts. So I've got my trees here.
Yeah, that's a perfect segue there.
Segue to this. So if you look at this tree I'm holding here, it's got lots of branches. And
she's holding a pot with plants, if you're not watching this on social,
Thanks for reminding me that we have got audio listeners here. And so this is kind of a thought, which is an experience, and all the branches and the leaves would be the details of the experience, the memories. So thought is made of memories, and a thought is an experience made of memories, which are the details of the experience. So this conversation is a thought. It's an interview between Caroline and Will on your podcast about X, and everything we're saying are all the branches. So the thought is the experience, and then everything we say are the branches.
Got it.
The details, the memories.
Yeah.
So everything is encapsulated, grouped into by the mind into these little thought clouds.
Yeah.
So just so that I don't diversify, so people keep following me, is around about, if I had 7 trees, around about 7 to 10 trees, or between 4 and 10 trees, is what will be placed into the subconscious at any one time. So if you think of a swirling mass of infinite swirling, and then if you think of a waiting room that's got 7 trees in it, or 7 little clouds floating around, each, or 7 around about 4 to somewhere between 4 and 10, and then think of your conscious mind, and there's one cloud. So let's take the concept of clouds or trees. I'm holding a tree, so tree or cloud, whichever you like to visualize. I use clouds as well because clouds are made of droplets of water, so they're not just a blob. They're full of like a tree is made of branches, a cloud is made of drops of water. So whichever analogy works for you. You can think of clouds in your non-conscious swirling, trillions of them, or trees. And then you can think in the subconscious, you could think of 4 to 10 clouds or 4 to 10 trees. And then in your conscious mind, you can think of a cloud or a tree. So that gives you the delineation.
Yeah.
And how does the cloud or the tree get from the subconscious into the conscious? It sends signals to the conscious mind. And what are those signals? How you feel, where you feel that in your body. How your behavior is in that moment in relation to what you're feeling in your body, and what's your perspective in that moment. So I drove here this morning in our car, and maybe I'm just going to give some random example. And in any one moment, I was having a business meeting actually, and someone said something, and it was actually really good. And I immediately, just to give an example, so we were having a meeting, so that's the cloud, and that cloud, that conversation was about something. But then as we were talking, this income was coming in. I had in my subconscious mind something that I needed to work on. And something that someone said brought that cloud to my attention. How? The incoming conversation activated that cloud in the subconscious, or tree, whichever you want, in that waiting room, then generated 4 signals, which got my attention. It made me feel a level of anxiety. It made me feel, where did I feel that? I immediately felt my heart beating faster. So the first thing is, what's the emotion? Anxiety. What's the physical reaction? My heart started beating faster. I could feel it. I could feel my heart suddenly beating faster. What was the behavior? I found myself suddenly speaking faster. And then what's the perception? In the moment, my perception, attitude, I thought, oh my gosh, this is a problem. Now the conversation that's happening is great, but it triggered something that I have to get finished, and I hadn't done it, and I'd forgotten about it, and it was something that's really important. So I got 4 signals. Now, I couldn't pay attention to it at that moment because I needed to finish the conversation. As the conversation was finished, I hung on to those signals. As soon as I put the phone down, I quickly took those signals that, okay, what is the thought that they're attached to? Because remember, those were generated by the thought, so they attached to that thought. So I paid attention. Okay, I felt anxious. Just quickly said to myself, I felt anxious, my heart's beating, I spoke really fast at that moment, and I slow down now. I tend to speak fast, and I felt a little, worried because I'd forgotten to do something important. So it took me 1 second to quickly do that. And so then I focused on what was the thought. Okay, that was the experience. It was something that I had to get done by a certain time, and I'd started and forgotten to finish it, and I needed to do that, and I needed to make a decision. I had to approve some stuff for some artwork and then for some project that we're on. But until I did that, I slowed everyone down, and I'd forgotten to do it. And so it brought that up into my conscious mind. So I could then gather the data, which was those feelings, emotions in my body, etc. This is such a simple example, but I'm trying to really paint the picture.
Great real life example.
Real life example. And I could gather that data. I could then immediately react to that data and think about it and make a choice. What am I going to do? Am I going to panic, fall apart, get mad, get upset, say life's too much, I can't handle this? Or am I going to say, okay, well, I can't do it now. I'm going to will. I can't do it in the car. I need my computer. When can I do it? I can do it tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Solution. Done, finished. So it's still in the waiting room. It still needs to be resolved, but I haven't let that worry me. I didn't ignore it. I didn't suppress it. And that's a simple example. But that could be related to so many things. But it shows you, I've shown you so many things now. I've shown you the different levels. I've shown how the thoughts are made of memories. I've shown how they come into our mind, and we can't. I was triggered. I felt those emotions, but I couldn't analyze them at that moment because I was in a conversation. My conscious mind can only handle one thing at a time. But I didn't ignore it.
Right.
I quickly acknowledged, okay, I'll come back to that. What we often do is we in life, in the day, and those things come up, and we ignore them and we shove them down. And then we keep shoving them down, and they go in the waiting room, but they don't stay there forever. Because remember, the waiting room of the subconscious can only hold 4 to 7 things at any one moment. So therefore, if you don't deal with them in that 24-hour period, or it's not even often that, it's often depending on how disruptive, it will go in and out of your subconscious during the course of the day. It'll come. So if something's very disruptive, you get the signals, you don't pay attention. Let's say I ignored that. Let's say it was something really big, and I ignored it because I didn't want to deal with it. It would have gone back into the subconscious, and the subconscious would have thrown it back into the non-conscious. But it's not dealt with. So it would have gone back worse than before. In other words, stronger than before. Because every time you pay attention to something, every time the signals come up, even if you don't stop and totally focus, the mere fact that it moved into your conscious mind changes your neuroscience.
Yeah.
It changes the energy. It's added packets of energy. So now it's gone back without being dealt with. So it's gone back stronger than before. Well, that's fine if it's something good, if it's a great conversation. But it's not fine if it's a problem. If it's a problem eating habit, if it's a problem lifestyle habit, if it's a problem behavioral thing that you're doing, like maybe irritable or anxious, or which are just signals. It's a pattern that you've got in your life.
Yeah. And that's what really impacts people's health.
Oh my gosh.
Can you talk about that? Like these sort of unresolved, sitting in the waiting room, if you will, or like shoved back down and not sorted out, not processed. What's that do for our health?
So good. So those clouds came through. They were identified because they were like a little storm cloud or a little toxic tree. I've also got a tree for the listeners. I've got a wiry looking tree. So whatever's toxic, whatever's a thought cloud or a tree, it's not pretty and pink and fluffy and green, and it's going to have, depending on how bad it is. If it's just a bad habit, it may be just a bit of a storm cloud. But if it's a big trauma, it's a big storm cloud. So when it sits in the waiting room, it's a storm cloud, or it's whatever level on, whatever it looks like, and you don't deal with it, it goes back more stormy than before. Now that more stormy is going to start affecting things that you measure in your practice, which are biomarkers. And we know, you and I both know, and you've said this often, 95% of diseases come from our thought life. Come from 95% of diseases lifestyle related.
Yeah.
What is lifestyle? It means lifestyle. I have chosen with my mind to make certain lifestyle choices. So when we say lifestyle, it's not the diet or the exercise, it's the thinking that went into
that made us choose that. Yeah.
The manifestation is the exercise and the diet, sitting on the couch eating the junk food. That's not the problem. That's the manifestation of the problem.
Yes.
The problem is the thought life.
Right.
So the thought life has to be addressed, as well as the fact that you've also got to obviously deal with not eating the junk food and not sitting on the couch all the time. I mean, that's a silly example.
But shifting your perspective, it's like the why. It's like we talk about, like the why.
The why.
But,
it's exactly what you talk about.
Yeah. So that's what you're talking about here.
Exactly. I'm talking. Yes, it's the cloud.
Yeah.
What you do with your patients is you tell them to find the cloud, because how they are manifesting in what they're doing is basically because of the cloud. So you need to take them through the whole route that you do. In your previous book, you spoke quite a lot about this and helping your clients to finding the cloud in the unconscious. That kept coming in the subconscious, they kept shoving it back. So every time they shove it back, because that non-conscious, subconscious, conscious is the thing that drives the brain and the body. If the brain and the body is wired for love, Nobel Prize winning statement that I've just said by Eric Kandel, we know the body is wired for love. Our biology, our neurophysiology is not wired for disruption, it's wired for function, for functionality. So therefore, functional medicine, therefore, anything that's a cloud that's not being dealt with, that's a mindset that's created this pattern of behavior, that is eventually going to wear thin. So what we see, for example, this is now psychoneurobiology, mind, brain, body, which is what we're both in, psychoneurobiology. So that cloud sits there, comes up, you ignore, goes back, whatever. So now I create this disruptive pattern. So now instead of energy that's healthy that's coming into my brain, mind, brain, and body, I am sending from this mind, brain, body, this conscious, subconscious, non-conscious thing that's all around me and through me. Instead of it being organized energy, it's pretty chaotic. And it's going into my brain, constant into my brain and my body, which host it. And then your mind tries to fix it, and it didn't get fixed, so it now goes in again. And when energy hits physicality, so when energy, electromagnetic energy, hits something physical, it collapses and genetics happen, genes switch on and proteins are made. And proteins cluster to form networks, hormones, the biochemistry of the body and the structures of the body. Well, cells, structures, organs, systems, structures, etc.
Yeah.
So therefore, every thought that I have is impacting my cells, my telomeres. The telomeres influence cellular division. The cells that form the systems of our body. So therefore my immune system's compromised, my cardiovascular system's compromised. So it all translates up from the energy to the cell, to the organ, to the system, to the functionality of the entire body. And that's why we see biomarkers changing. That's why we see telomeres shortening, which impacts cellular health. That's why we see the cortisol, which is a great thing. Without cortisol, we die, but the wrong quantities. Every chemical in our body, every hormone's good, but if it's flowing in the wrong quantities or the wrong balance, I mean, that's such a simple way, you explain it much better than I do, but that's the basic philosophy, is the cloud is going to disrupt the balance, and the balance, once disrupted, not overnight, but over time, cumulatively weakens the organs of the body, and therefore that then manifests in disease. And then that disease needs to be managed, obviously, because it's a manifestation, you can't leave it. You have to address the diet. But if you just address the disease manifestation and the diet through medical treatment and through diet and exercise, and maybe a bit of meditation, which doesn't fix it, just helps to calm neurophysiology. But if I never deal with the cloud, pattern's going to keep coming back. I'm going to keep on reinventing the wheel, and eventually, over time, your body can only take so much hammering, and then it's not going to function like it should.
Right, and that causes more dysregulation
Exactly,
in the body.
exactly.
Yeah, as you were talking, I was thinking about the non-conscious mind. And then we talk about the sort of the electrical aspect of the human body. And you mentioned like the electrical kind of animating these synthesis, these pathways in the body.
The mind animates the
So
the
like
body.
is non-conscious mind is it electricity, or is there an electrical aspect to it, or is the non-conscious mind animating the electricity? Has that been explored?
So I think at this point in history, and this kind of research began even with Jung,
Yeah.
right back with Einstein, right back with quantum physics in 1920, and even before, there was a lot of philosophical speculation around this energy force. So there's definitely an energy force. What I think that where we're at today is the understanding that this energy is like an electromagnetic force.
Yeah.
I often talk about things like the electromagnetic soul. But obviously, electromagnetic, it's kind of our human way of understanding something and we can actually, with science now, we know that electromagnetic forces exist. We know that from astrology and from astronomy and from understanding all the universe, and we know that is all forms of energy.
Yeah.
So energy it's kind of like light, energy, and then the physicality.
Yeah.
So it seems, and light is a form of energy. So to answer your question, the non-conscious is a version of the big version. So it's an energy of the big energy.
Yeah.
So I think energy is probably our most accurate way, and I'm sure as the years advance, we'll learn more.
Yes, right.
But we're getting confirmation. There's more research confirming that non-conscious energy than there is the conscious manifestation of how we work physically, which is very interesting. So
Yeah.
in other words, core hard line, we have more science confirming how the things we can't see work than the physical human body, which is interesting.
Yeah, fascinating.
Really interesting, because the physical human body is driven by that force, and it changes according to that force, and that force is very much how we use it with our mind. We use the force with our force, if that makes sense.
Yes, yeah,
Is it interesting?
absolutely. I think of the Hermetic phrase, as above, so below. Like
Yes.
there's some sort of connection to that. Again, these ancient
Truths, ancient
yeah,
philosophies.
that science is now confirming these
Exactly.
sort of concepts.
Oh, for sure. It's pouring out. There's a plethora and there has been. It's just that it's not spoken about as much as,
Yeah.
it's kind of relegated to the mystics and the philosophy.
Yeah.
But that's really changing now. People are much more
Yeah,
talking about it much more and want to know
the art
more
of
and-
science. Well, remembering
The art
that
of
science was an art.
Exactly, and science itself comes from the word sclera, which means knowledge. So,
Yes.
it's basically understanding. So philosophy is also science.
Yeah.
Everything's science. Knowledge is science. So.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so let's go back to something we started talking about at the top of the conversation, is these moments in life. We, of course, have to talk about these 63 days, but help in a hurry. And something you talk about in the book is it's okay to not be okay. So why is that so important?
So important because our conscious mind is dealing with so much unexpected, and it's quite hard to navigate that. If you just think realistically of any one day, we're not actually happy all the time. We're in a neutral state, just trying to cope with just trying to deal with all the things we've got to do. And then we have moments of happiness and moments of excitement. And research shows that 95% of our day, we're not okay. And that's okay to not be okay. But we live in a society that the zeitgeist has been for the last, especially 20 years, and especially the last 10 years, positive psychology, the pursuit of happiness. It's become so distorted that people are in a hustle culture, productivity mindset. I've got to achieve. I've got to be happy. What's wrong with me if I'm not happy all the time?
Right.
It's not normal to be happy all the time. It's actually like the Eastern philosophy. They're concerned when people are happy all the time. And it's a balance.
Yes.
So it's okay to not be okay, because most of the time you are in that very, almost like a toddler mindset. Think the conscious mind's almost like a toddler. They're experimenting and it's chaos and it's all over the place, and they're up and down with their emotions, and they can smile one minute and cry the next and be happy in the next second, and the parent needs to guide them. Can you imagine a toddler without the parent? That's kind of why it's okay to not be okay. It's hard. We're learning. It's up and down. Our emotions are up and down, and that is okay.
Yeah.
And we don't have to. Research shows if you pursue happiness, and I talk about that in the one chapter in the book, Help, I'm Not Happy All the Time. Pursuing happiness in the way we've been told to pursue it increases depression. It doesn't decrease depression.
This is really good. Okay, so let's break this down, because
Okay.
this is a massive thing that maybe gives people a massive aha moment. But so pursuing happiness can actually make the problem worse.
Absolutely.
So why?
So what's happening there is that we have become very trained to observe the external, how much money you've got, what you look like, How much did you get done today? What is your job? What's your status? And there's nothing wrong with that, but if it's unbalanced, which it has become, it's a problem. And in order to then achieve those goals, it's like the goal out there of all these external things. We've given control to the external. We have an external locus of control. Meanwhile, and then we've been told, pursuing that is then going to lead to happiness. So it didn't. So then people came up with philosophies and saying, okay, well, let's teach you how to be happy all the time. But you can't teach someone to be happy all the time, because you can't physically be happy all the time, because most of the day you're working out the next moment. Your conscious mind is really busy gathering data, responding to the data, making choices, trying to listen to the subconscious mind, tuning into the non-conscious. The toddler mind needs to consciously be guided by the parent. What's the parent? The parent is basically the sort of subconscious saying, hey, let's pay attention to these things. And then the parent is tuning into the non-conscious where the wisdom is.
Got it.
So we've got
it's
to
the
get
wisdom, the parent, and the petulant child.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah.
Exactly, the wisdom, the parent, the petulant child. And what we do if we try and pursue happiness, or we try and think, what's wrong with me? I'm not okay, and label it and immediately say there's something wrong with you, or I've lost my peace in this moment. What's wrong with me? Which is what has been fed, and TikTok is feeding it, and just our lifestyle and productivity, the distortion of a good thing. Those are all good things, but they distort it. As soon as you distort and unbalance a good thing, you then build up this network of expectation that's toxic in itself. So we've got an external net. We've got these. What happens when we process life? We build these networks out of protein. So if I can just diversify for 1 second,
let's do it.
Very quick, to show you how important the 63 seconds is. Every 63 seconds, which is broken down actually into every 10 seconds and then every few seconds and those 2 to 3 words and all that stuff every second, we are absorbing information from the outside, much quicker on an unconscious level. It goes in, when I say we, our mind, not our body, not our brain yet. First it's into the mind, which is a field around us. Then when it's processed through this think, feel, choose, and the unconscious, conscious, subconscious interaction, this whole parent, toddler parent wisdom, this whole thing, that first the information gets captured and put into this mind thing. So think of your mind as a zone around you and through you, but the receiving is the zone around you. We don't know how big it is, this biofield, but we all have our own individual biofield inside the connection of the whole universe. This is all hardcore science, okay? So information comes in, I'm talking to you, my words go in, you're building this cloud of this interview. It's not in your brain and body yet. I mean, it's quick, but it's first in your mind, and each droplet is building the cloud, and it's getting bigger and bigger, or each branch is growing the tree. That then goes gets placed, a copy is made. An actual copy is placed into the brain, and then it's placed into the body, but it's all connected. So there's a connection between the cloud I first grow in my mind, which is processing and taking the stuff in. It then makes a copy of that, puts it in the brain reacts, it grows a network on dendrites on neurons, and then like a little network, we all hear about neural networks, and then it's also in every cell of our body, there's another network that is formed. So there's a connection, a line between this. Now between all three, mind, brain, body. We have 37 to 100 trillion cells in our brain and our body. So we are building 37 to 100 trillion networks, or parts of this network, which is it's mind-blowing.
Wild, yeah.
So there's this very complex network forming for every experience we have. So can you imagine the level of complexity? That's what the unconscious mind is managing. So the conscious mind is just gathering this data, but it lets the work that organizing is done by the non-conscious mind. What the conscious mind can do, and this is where Help in a Hurry comes in, which is where we started this conversation, is that the way the stuff is coming in, remember our conscious mind is helping receive the data because it gets built there first. It's also responding to the data and how you're feeling, and it's also mind and body and stuff, and it's also making choices, okay? In order to make a choice, the conscious mind has a direct line to the subconscious and to the non-conscious. And that line we need to keep open. The only way to keep it open is through keeping our mind in a place where we are under control. That's why people want to meditate and breathe and say slow down and take a moment to pause, and traffic light kind of idea, red, green, orange, that kind of, orange, red, and then green. Okay, so the orange and the red would be our pause. That is the conscious mind's ability to say, okay, I'm not okay. There's something going on here. I need wisdom to know what to do with this information. And so we tune in for a moment. Now, in milliseconds, milliseconds, you can get access via, you don't even always have to, you can bypass the subconscious and get straight to the non-conscious. And that's self-regulation. Self-regulation is being able to take in the data, tune in before you make the copy in the brain.
Wow.
And before you make the copy in the body, which is disrupting all the biomarkers you measure, we can interrupt
inflammation,
which is
things like
which
that.
are a result of constant not managing. So if I don't manage and I bypass and I put the wrong in, or sometimes I can listen and still veto. The conscious mind has a veto power. Subconscious is saying, Caroline, don't do that. Non-conscious is sending up more data, don't do that. And you just, I'm going to do it anyway. You can. And then you bypass.
And that's like the gut feeling, right? We like don't listen to these gut feelings.
We don't listen to our gut feeling. And we don't spend time examining, because sometimes that gut feeling is not the first, it's you've got to also examine that. Because
so the gut feeling in this sort of language we're talking is the non-conscious.
It's the non-conscious that's going via the subconscious, because it's got to be slowed down.
Yeah.
It's got to filter through and then into the conscious.
So the goal that you're teaching us in Help in a Hurry is in 63 seconds, correct me if I'm wrong on this, is sort of integrating the 3 levels of the mind, is sort of creating a you can hear that still small voice of the non-conscious mind.
Exactly. That's exactly what you're doing, because you're still going to process. You're still going to process whatever's coming in. It's still going to be copies in the cloud, copy made into the brain, network in the body. This whole thing, it's growing. Because memory is not just in your brain. Your brain's just one. Memory's in your fingers. It's in your toes. Your memories are in thoughts built by the mind, and your mind is throughout. So your mind doesn't place a cloud only in your, a set of memories only in your brain, which is what we've been led to believe, that the brain is it. It's not. Your toes have literally as much memory as what your brain does. It's just slightly different. Feel it in your fingers, feel it in your
Especially
toes.
Especially if you have a big toe. I mean, it's like...
There you go. I was talking to Mel Robbins about this, and she just said, I've got memories in my fingers, Yeah. But it's as we... That concept of realizing how the expanse of where things are stored. Okay, so coming back to the point, that network is going to happen. But what you can do in 63 seconds is you can catch and say, ooh, I'm actually getting really irritable. I can see that already I've had 5 or 6 irritable outbursts, and it's not even 8 o'clock in the morning. And I can feel that everything I'm looking at today is just going to irritate me. And I can see that this next thing that's being said to me is making me, I can actually, in that 63 seconds, I can stand back and observe what I'm actually thinking and how I'm feeling. I can hack that. I can actually stop that. I can catch it, and I can say, okay, this is still going to irritate me, but now because I've actually acknowledged it and I can see it's going to irritate me, I can actually make sure that the way it gets wired into my fingers and toes and everywhere else is not going to be in this distorted, toxic form. It's going to be in a healthy form, because it's covered by that kind of thing is the type of thing that irritates me, but I can do this to manage it, versus I'm irritated, which is toxic and viral and total toddler running in the street or putting their hand on a hot stove. If I say, okay, this does irritate me, but this is what I can do, I have tuned into the subconscious and the unconscious.
So you're teaching us how to use the conscious mind instead of the conscious mind using you, or you mistaking yourself solely as that.
Or ignoring the conscious mind.
Or ignoring it.
So I'll give you an extreme example. Yes, you nailed it.
Yeah.
Addiction. Addiction's not a disease. We're told it's a disease, not a disease. Totally scientifically inaccurate to say it's a disease. It's been disproved. It's never actually been proved. It's just been a very convenient way of explaining it to get people to take drugs. As you and I both know, we had the same
I'm so
feeling.
glad you said that, not me. It's the truth. We're going to get the truth here.
It's the truth. It's the truth, and I have the science to back that up, so do you. Okay, so what is addiction? It's a behavior. It's one of 4 signals that is being sent through from the non-conscious to the subconscious. There's a thing in your life that's going on. It's a big black rain cloud in your non-conscious. It's placed in your subconscious. Subconscious is sending signals, emotions, behaviors. Addiction is a behavioral signal. If you are addicted to something, it means that you are not dealing with something. But because when we get addicted, that behavior can be so strong, like as soon as you start taking a physical substance, so when the mind follows up with a physical substance like alcohol or drugs or sex or whatever, exercise, not eating, all that stuff, the whole concept of over controlling eating. What's it called?
Orthorexia.
I went blank for a moment.
Yeah.
That is a form of addiction.
Yeah.
So it's a behavior pattern that is established that is that you ignore the unconscious mind. Now, the minute we cut off contact from the unconscious mind, what we do is we have a loop that's a not okay loop that has got chaotic. There's no order. When I connect with my unconscious, I bring order to the not okay. I bring order to the uncertainty. But now I ignore, I have no order, I have chaos. So now that chaos is what? It's chaotic energy. It's like a hurricane flying through my brain. And that hurricane makes me physically feel terrible. So what am I going to do? Numb it, take more drugs, take more. And I never really deal with my stuff. You know, and then the pattern, the wiring becomes stronger and stronger, the unconscious, that whole thing I described. So that's where addiction sets up.
Yeah.
So we can reverse addiction.
Wow.
It is something, but it does take work and
Yeah.
it does take support, etc. So that's just an example.
I love it.
But I'm trying to help people in the moment.
In the moment.
Addiction's an extreme thing. All of us deal with angry people, people pleasing, imposter syndrome. Well, not everyone, but
Yeah,
the majority.
it's
We did a survey.
ubiquitous.
We did a survey with, and then also having done research clinically and just generally doing based on research. That's saying a lot of words for simple. Based on research, clinical and research and surveys, there were a bunch of areas that people collectively battle with. And that is not giving themselves permission to be okay, pursuing happiness, angry outbursts, feeling under pressure, feeling overwhelmed, burnt out and tired, getting angry, not knowing how to deal with their anger. People are very angry at the moment, very, very angry. It's a very angry society that we live in. We've become, just as a side note, the less regulated we become as individuals, the less regulated our society becomes. The more unregulated,
Yeah.
the more anger. And then we have, people breaking up over politics and all that kind of stuff. Wars, crazy things happening, which have
Yeah.
always happened since the beginning of time.
Kind
They
of
just
just
have
like the
different
as
causes.
above, so below again, the micro and the macrocosm.
Exactly. So those are from that exactly that. So from that survey we found these different areas. People pleasing. What are some of the others? There's I'm under pressure. I'm angry all the time. I'm tired all the time. I want to punch that person in the face. My intrusive thoughts won't quit. I don't know what the heck's happening. My past is haunting me. I'm a people pleaser. Those kinds of things.
People pleasing is one of the. I mean, it's so common, especially amongst. I mean, I don't want to generalize. It's an everybody problem, but I do hear it. Maybe because I talk to mostly women for telehealth patients. It's such a problem, right? And it's impacting
Yeah.
their health in many ways, right? And you're teaching us how to break that cycle, whatever it is. So it's maybe
Yes.
people pleasing, it may be irritation. So these are some of the things that you're talking about in the book, right?
So each that's exactly it. You said that so well. Each chapter is obviously there's so many areas, but each chapter is one of the main areas that people are really battling with in the current zeitgeist. So it's really the overwhelm, the burnout, the stress. I've taken all those words that we say all the time,
Yeah.
and I've broken it down into very short chapters, very simple, just a little bit of the science and what it feels like, and just it's very accessible. And then techniques. Those techniques are science-based, everything clinically applied, and they are things that you can do in the moment to prevent that cycle from becoming a problem. There's tables, there's all kinds of things. So some of the parts, there's in each chapter, there's things you can do in under 63 seconds, and there's things that you can then say, okay, this is a problem. I'm going to go and practice doing this on my own and spend some other time working on workout little tables to see, is this a pattern forming in my life, and start building up techniques proactively that when I'm in that situation, so maybe I have a tendency to get irritable, I have a tendency to people please, I know I'm doing it. There's in the people pleasing chapter, for example, there's a way that you can track over 7 days to see, am I people pleasing? And generally or is it just a now and then? Or if I am, what's the pattern? Is it certain type of people? What's the picture? What's the story behind it? What's the narrative? And you can actually track that, because it's a big thing with mind, brain, body work is, and this Help in a Hurry work is order, patterns. We function on that. So when things feel out of order, we don't feel empowered. So I'm empowering you to say, okay, I think I'm people pleasing. It's freaking me out. What can I do now? I need a technique now that when I catch myself in that moment at work or with my children, listen, it happens a lot with parents to children, especially children that have mental health issues. This is something I work with so much in my practice. Parents, people pleasing just to keep the peace.
Yeah.
And it's very hard on the parent, it's very hard on the caregivers, and it's not good for the child. But it happens sometimes just to keep them alive.
Yeah, just to get through the day.
Yeah. So it's how do I handle that moment? That I'm still sane, and then how do I then go to the next level where I can see the pattern, and then how do I go to the next level? And the next level is then to do that 63-day rewiring.
Got
where
it.
you actually rewire. But I need something now.
Yeah, this is like the triage.
This is the triage.
Yeah,
this
of
is
life.
Total.
Yeah. So
that's the perfect explanation.
yeah, I love that because I mean, it's wild. It's such a perfect thing that you've done. You've kind of taught us these big principles over the last 18 books. That this is like something like micro in the moment. How do I, based on how I'm feeling, and you give us tools for so many different things. What for you personally? What is a technique in the book that you use the most for yourself?
Okay, I use all of them. I tell you, every single one here I have used. And that's where, and I've.
Well, that's good to know too. It's like
yeah.
you're kind of your master class of
total
what a day in the life looks like for you.
Exactly. I've used everything, and over the years I've used these with my patients and so on as well. I think what is really, it depends on where I am in my life. What is really helping me is people pleasing was one, definitely. The pressure, that's probably the top. It's actually the first chapter. That's probably I was biased there. A lot of pressure. You know when you run your own business, and I'm just a high energy person, and I do a lot, and I like doing a lot. I have to control my own level. I think a lot of us are like this when you just I don't know, just like my kids will turn around to me sometimes and say, it's just too much. Can you just talk slower, do less? You're making us tired. We don't want to, slow down. And my husband will say to me, slow down, too many things. So that I create my own pressure. So, and one of the things that, and it's the very first thing actually in the book, is I would go to bed at night saying, oh, I didn't get X done. Massive point of pressure. Now think of a pressure cooker that you cook with. You've got to put the lid, it's basically creating high pressure so things cook in a beautiful way and quicker. But if you don't adjust it, it'll explode. So it's the right amount of pressure. So pressure is actually very necessary. We as humans function very well under pressure. It's to find where we've tipped. And what I'd found is that I function under pressure but didn't know my tipping point. So I had to learn my tipping point because I thought I could just have endless pressure and I could handle it. And then you hit your tipping point. So I've had to learn to read those tipping points. So it's things like I would go to bed at night. Honestly, this happened for so many years. And it pops its head up now and then, but it's something that I worked on. And I'd say, I'd get into bed and I'd say to Mac, who's my husband, I didn't get this. And I'd list a ream of stuff. And I'd probably put him to sleep in the process. And I was so worked up that I couldn't sleep. Well, and it was really, and I'd get such bad digestive problems, I could feel my stomach growling and bloating as I was going through this. You know the whole this is your area of expertise. It was immediate. And so I had to learn to control that. And so, I've done all the 63 days, I've worked out the patterns, I know why I do it. But so when it rears its head, the technique that I use, immediately, as it starts, immediately I'll stop and I'll say, okay, and I acknowledge, this is key throughout the book. Your conscious mind, remember, it's capturing data, it's consciously aware, it's getting a feeling and it's responding and it's making a choice. And whatever you do in that moment is going to influence what you wire in. So I don't want to wire in that distorted rain cloud or toxic tree. I want to wire in the concept. I didn't get X done, but I did get X done. I want to wire it in correctly. Okay? So otherwise I'll reactivate an old pattern. So in that moment, the first thing, with all of these things, you have to look it full on in the face. You have to capture, like I explained with the incident in the car this morning. I had to focus on the conversation, but in that moment, I quickly acknowledged. And that's the first thing. In all of this, you'll find I'll always say, acknowledge it. Don't deny it. Don't beat yourself up about it. It's okay not to be okay. Overriding principle. Okay, I am saying this, I didn't do X again. I can feel myself getting the sore stomach. I can feel it. It's okay. I'm saying it's taking me longer to say it than it does to do it. I know the techniques, and this is why I'd advise people, get to know the techniques, learn the ones that work for you, practice them when things are good. So when you're in that place, what must I do? What did Caroline? By then you've lost it. You need to have some, toolbox ready.
So train when you're having no problem.
Exactly.
Or train when it's an average day.
Exactly.
So you can have these tools within your toolbox.
Exactly. So when I feel it, I didn't exactly that.
Yeah.
I didn't do X. I can feel myself saying it. I feel the reaction. So I'm acknowledging, oh, I'm having one of those. I didn't feel X. And I actually say, I didn't do, and I'll say it. I'll list it. And then as I'm doing it, I'm noticing, I feel this in my body. I'm feeling these emotions very objectively, very kindly, it's okay, Caroline, it's okay, it's cool. This is, and then I will, then I'll basically say, okay, so let's now do a mindset shift. Let's do a mind shift. How can I see this differently? The most simple antidote to that is, what did I do? I mean, it's such simple things. So then I list, okay, I didn't do that, but I did do this. I did do this. I did do this. I did do this. And that's what really works.
Yeah.
One thing that you can also do just prior to, which depending on how worked up I am, you can do a mind hack. And I talk about these throughout the book. And a mind hack is something simple like your breathing or whatever, something quick in the moment. So if you're very triggered, you can breathe in deeply. And we know oxygen, we know what it does with the body, but oxygen does something else that I don't know if your listeners and viewers are aware of. It carries the mindset, it carries information, it carries electromagnetic energy on top of the actual molecule.
Wow.
It carries a mindset. So every breath you breathe in is carrying your mindset. It's carrying data.
Wow.
So
that is profound.
It's profound. And when people see breathing, oh, I must breathe. Everyone knows. No, listen, what are you breathing? Like hold your breath for a moment if you have to. What are you breathing? I'm breathing and I'm panting, short breath. I didn't do X. No, stop. Okay, let's just, hold your breath for a second, not for long. You don't have to go blue in the face. Or if you know how to do Wim Hof, you can hold your breath. But just think of the molecule you want to take in. And so trigger breathing works really well. So you can go, you can breathe in, take a sip of air. Say, okay, stop. Take a sip of air. And then when you've holding it there, okay, I'm talking at the same time, and you can't take another sip, but you can take another sip. Take another sip. So it's... And then say, okay, what do I want? It catches you, and then say, okay, what do I want to breathe in with my next, as I'm now going through the rest of the, I didn't do X, what do I want my mindset to be? And just quickly tell yourself, I want it to be, I'm okay. So then you breathe, I'm okay. So I'm okay. You might just want to say it to yourself a couple of times, I'm okay. Just doing it will make you feel better. I don't know if you experienced that.
Yeah.
It's so quick. It's so simple. It's techniques
it
we know. It
breaks that pattern.
But it breaks the pattern. It breaks the neurophysiology. It breaks that. It puts the right information molecule onto the oxygen molecule, and it helps calm the neurophysiology, which means I can then calmly analyze what I didn't do, do the mind shift, and then move into going to sleep.
So the breath is, in a way, in a sense, the transporter of this wisdom into the body, this non-conscious mind.
Yes, that's a beautiful way of saying it. And, visualization. You can do visualization, but breath is breath. The breath work's been so overused that people don't see the benefit.
The depth, the profundity of it, right? The depth of it, the beauty of it. I think even the three levels, so the conscious, subconscious, and the non-conscious, and the three aspects and the symbolisms within, again, antiquity of the Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, and how the Bible says the Ruach HaKodesh is the word for spirit and breath was the same thing, and how it was moving through the three. I mean, and no matter what your ancestry is, the Hebrews called Keter Chachma Bina. I mean, there's so many different things of the three, and what you're talking about is so beautiful. That this concept of our breath being this regulator, a message from the wisdom to our conscious mind.
Exactly, and you actually are. Even to take that deeper, the words. I talked about a word on the oxygen molecule. Literally, that's what you're putting on. What are you putting on? You need to think about. That's what you ask. What mind is? One of your first questions. What is mind? Mind is it's this language of life. It is the life force. So I need oxygen to survive in my physical body. When my physical body goes, I don't need the oxygen anymore because I don't have a physical body. But the mind still exists. So while I'm in my physical body, what mind stuff am I popping onto that oxygen molecule? That's what I'm telling people, is getting to that, and that's what this trains you to do. It trains you to get to that level of self-regulation. Which is what I said in the beginning. If I can learn to self-regulate in the 63 seconds, and in that you can break it down. I show you can break it into 10 seconds. There's all different ways you can do it. You just find what you like best. You can regulate the next minute, and then the next hour, and then the next, and the rest of the day, and the rest of the week, and the rest of your life. It's you capture the thoughts.
Yes.
You regulate. You know, and
Yes.
that's what we're not
Take
doing
your
in this day
thoughts
and age.
captive.
It teaches you to do that. This
Yeah.
is what I'm trying.
This is the neuroscience
it felt
of
like
that
to me
concept.
That was the missing link. Yeah, it
100%.
felt like it was the missing link.
It is. It's so brilliant. I'm so proud of you. This is.
Oh, thank
It's
you.
such a cool concept. I mean, it's like your work, but I think it's the perfect timing of us all. I think that this is like the next phase of your message. I think getting this out to people on a day-to-day basis. I could talk to you forever, my
thank
friend.
you.
We're gonna go to dinner afterwards, so we'll be able to talk to you
We'll
at
carry on
length.
talking.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
But before we go, the podcast is called The Art of Being Well. At the end of every episode, we have your art of being well. I do most of the time. But the first question is, what is the worst tasting healthy food that you eat? You don't do it for the taste, you do it for the benefits, the health sciences of it all.
Oh my gosh, I can't think of one thing.
You like most, I mean, some people say that. Some people are like,
I
no,
eat-
I like everything that I eat.
Yeah, I do. I like everything because I eat such a curated diet and I don't like anything too fancy. My kids say I've got the most boring diet ever. But because
Maybe it's a supplement. Do you take any supplements that you don't like the taste of?
yeah, the fish oil is always gross. I think those are pretty. Those if they happen to break in your as you're
Yeah.
swallowing them or something, those can be pretty.
Fishy aftertaste.
Yeah,
No
that's
good. No
true.
good.
That is probably that. then.
Okay. Do you take any other supplements? Are there any lesser known supplements that people should know about that you take?
I'm very hot on magnesium, but that everyone knows about. I mean,
No, that's
the
good.
one
Do you
that
have a
does
specific kind of magnesium that you like?
I like the one that's got all 7. So I use Bio-Optimizers
Okay,
because they have all
complex of
yeah,
them
they
all.
have the full complex of. And I find that is. When I don't take magnesium, I can feel the difference.
I love
And
it.
there's just so many; it's very overwhelming for people to know what supplements to take.
Mm-hmm.
So I do also curate over different periods of my time and life. I don't just take a handful of supplements every day. It's very
Yeah.
very
Well,
much-
what I've known about you is that you focus, and then that's what I advocate for. Is like use your food as medicine. Really,
That's what I
focusing on
prefer.
that.
Yeah, that's my priority. So yes, I don't take that many supplements. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Well, I don't take
That's
many
good.
supplements.
No,
at all.
food is first, and if you're
Food
honing
is
on
first.
nutrient density, which you do,
Yeah.
you don't need that many supplements.
That's I kind of read my body when I know that I'm traveling and I don't quite get enough salmon that I should be getting or something like that. Then I know, okay, just travel with some fish oil, just travel with some magnesium.
Mm-hmm.
You know that you don't always know the quality.
Yeah.
So it's very much I know my body because I know I eat so clean that I can read when I'm not, and that's when I'll supplement. Generally, when I may go through because you've obviously got to use a supplement for a certain period of time. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Love it.
eating clean is my main thing.
Amazing. Amazing. My friend, where do people get the book? Tell them all the things.
The book's available wherever books are sold, and it's out now, and people can go grab a copy, and they want to know more. There's a website too, and drleaf.com is my main website, and they can get to everything from there. My Instagram is Dr. Caroline Leaf. All my social media handles, we're on everything, is Dr. Caroline Leaf.
Thanks so much, friend. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for your great questions, and I loved our deep discussion. We were going off on a tangent there, which we can finish over dinner.
That's right. Let's do it.